Hello, and welcome to our virtual annual discipline meeting for the 2023-2024 year. For those who may not know me, I'm Dane Lamont, the School Partnership Specialist for Penn Highlands Dual Enrollment Program. During our fall 2023 semester, we resumed our in-person ACE discipline meetings at the Penn Highlands Richland campus. There, our college liaisons were able to hold live sessions with our ACE instructors to discuss specific topics related to the disciplines that you teach. While we understand that it is not always possible for teachers to attend the live meetings, these discussions were recorded so those absent can gain the benefit of the event. Please enjoy the recording of your annual discipline-specific activity, and we look forward to working with you in the fall and hope you can join us in the next ACE discipline meeting. Thank you.
It seems okay.
Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. We will try and make this quick as painless as possible, but please interrupt us if you have any questions. My name is Robin Hughes. This is my colleague Wade. We are both full-time faculty here at Penn Highlands in the math department. So if you have any questions about any of this, one of us will certainly be able to answer you. Some of you are veterans at it, some of you are new. So like I said, if you have any questions, just interrupt me. We just have a short PowerPoint presentation here to go over what we're expecting from you and what you should be expecting from us. Okay, let's take a minute, introduce yourself, what school that you work at and what you teach. I'll start.
Kaiser, Blackwood Valley. I teach pre-calc and calc.
Monica Emerson, also Blackwood Valley, Colorado.
Laura Kniss, Greater Johnson School District. I teach Algebra 2.
Donnie, Richland, I teach Algebra 2. Eric Yakko, Johnstown Christian School, I teach pre-calc. Scott McLean, member, College Algebra.
Scott Price, Forest Hills, pre-calc, trig, AP calc, AP stats.
Kristen Rogers, Wimber, and I teach AP statistics.
Nice. Thank you all for coming. Nice to meet all of you, the ones I haven't met. Okay, so we're going to take you to MyPeak, which is where we house all of the ACE information. And if you do not have a MyPeak log on, let one of us know before you leave tonight to make sure that you do get that. So Wade's going to take us onto our MyPeak website we call these things, we just call them tabs. So on our ACE tab, everything that you need is under the math section. We've got all of our assessment information, which Wade will cover in a moment, but you can see that the classes are listed there. So we'll just take college algebra, for example. You'll be able to find the syllabus if you don't already have it. It should be in your folder, but if for some reason you don't have it, there's the syllabus. There's contact information. And some of the classes, we've got resources at the bottom. We've got different handouts. Sometimes we post exams, so you can use our exams as a guide. You do not have to use our exams, but maybe give you an idea of the kind of exams that we give in our classroom. So we have all of this out there for all of the classes that we offer through the ACE program. So my math lab and my stats lab, anybody familiar with one or both? No? Okay, so through our textbooks, through Pearson, all of our math classes, I think 90% of our math classes use Pearson, and we have what's called My Math Lab. That's how we do all of our homework. It's an all electronic system where the students go in, they do their homework, it grades them, gives them feedback. It's a nice system, but we're not asking you to use it. You certainly don't have to use it, but there's a lot of resources out there. Did you want to show them?
Yeah, for sure.
Anybody have a My Math Lab log on?
Most of these guys probably do.
Okay.
I know at this point, a lot of folks have been paired up with a My Math Lab or a My Stat Lab.
My Stats Lab is the same thing. It's just for the statistics textbook.
Is it free? Or
Yes.
It is.
You would do it through us
Okay.
as a faculty member.
I didn't know how to access it for my kid, like for my students though.
Yeah, the students would have to pay to use it.
Mhm.
So it's for you guys, it's
Yeah.
basically as a resource.
Right.
What I like showing you guys, if you want to take advantage of it, there's a lot of canned PowerPoints on there that are a good like basis for your lectures if you want it. I love, some of the animations that they have on here. Like, I know I love showing the, even and odd animation that they have.
Lots of great videos. I use a lot of these videos for my online classes. Why reinvent the wheel? You know, they've done a really great job breaking it down, doing separate videos for every little objective. So I use a lot of the videos. I use the PowerPoints. You as a resource, you could just create homeworks from this. You could just pick whatever objectives you want to do and create a homework worksheet, and it would generate the answers for you. So it's a lot of great resources. And this is an animation. I'll let you talk about that.
Yeah, I love this one. I use this one every semester, every time I teach odd symmetry. My students have usually never seen symmetry through a point, before. So like, in addition to explaining odd symmetry, like verbally, like 5 different ways, really they get their money's worth when they see it right here, that, opposite X values have opposite Y values. And they have like a whole list of symmetry and non-symmetric, things, and even symmetry as well, on here. So this is a great resource. Also, if it's like your first time teaching a class, there is the canned PowerPoints I was talking about are right there. They're available for download. They are, a great basis for a lecture. And with nice like publisher PowerPoint. You guys have all seen publisher resources before, but they're nice.
Did you?
With those videos, do the kids have to have an account to be able to watch those? Like if I would post it on Google,
No.
they would be able to watch it.
Yeah. I just copy the link and put it right on my Brightspace. We use Brightspace, put it right on the page, and they're able to watch it.
That's nice.
And my stats lab is the same concept. It's just for the statistics textbook. But like I said, I like to just, not only do my students use it for their homework, bless you, but I'll create a homework worksheet or a review worksheet. I just pick the objectives I want and it'll generate it. So it's a nice resource. So if you are interested in getting a log on for that, just let Wayde or I know, and we'll take care of it.
Do we mention textbooks?
No, not yet.
And they're on the syllabus. Textbooks are on your syllabus. If you guys don't have a copy of the textbook and you want one, let us know. We'll get one shipped to you.
You obviously don't have to use the textbook for your student. They don't have to get the textbook, but it's nice to see where we're teaching our class from.
And we already talked about these resources. Okay.
Okay, as far as expectations, the content, it's in the syllabus. You can see all the objectives that we want you to make sure that you reach by the end of the school year. I know from observing most of you that you get to do so much more than we do, which is really nice. You guys get to explore the topics in so much more depth than we do. So I know that you guys are teaching the content and we appreciate that. And of course, with the rigor that the president was talking about, I have no worries. We're math people. We're on top of it, right? And what was the last statement there? And grading. Do they have to hand in graded work anymore?
Yes, when the observations are conducted, you'll hand in 3 samples of graded student work. We're looking to collect like an A sample, a C sample, and an F sample. And the purpose of those samples is to we'll get to look at the rigor of the assignment. We'll get to look at your grading, make sure you're grading it. And really when we talk about grading, we're also talking about using the college grade scale. 90 to 100% is an A for us. I know some of you guys probably have an A at like 93%. In terms of grading, we don't like to see like a lot of extra credit on a grade. Robin and I both, I know occasionally will offer extra credit in our classes, but it's a small amount. It's basically negligible. So if you want to do that, I mean, that can really motivate students in a time and place. But like some districts have like the policy where you have to offer a certain percentage of extra credit to your students, like it's the school policy. So just watch out for that. And in that case, just adjust your grade book for us accordingly, please.
And as far as the A, C, and F samples, I didn't discuss that with you guys yet. I'd forgotten about that piece. Make sure it's from a student who's in our program.
Yeah.
Because I know you have a lot more students in your class that aren't necessarily in dual enrollment.
But it could be any assignment. It doesn't have to be our common assessment assignment. It can be anything, any quiz, any homework, anything that you graded.
Site visits, we can do them via Zoom for the people that are far away. Do them in person. I think most of you are familiar. Anybody brand new has not been evaluated yet or observed. Okay, so you guys all know how that works. Okay. So you're only evaluated in a 2 to 3 year cycle, so I won't see you guys for another 2 to 3 years if you're just still doing the program. And then those student samples, if you don't have them when we come to visit, you can certainly just scan them in and email them to us.
And just the only other thing I'll add on about these site visits is we do not send them to your principal. So your principal doesn't see them. This is for us, for our internal use only. I do know that, like, if I see a really good observation, I like to say something to the principal on the way out the door. I always like to put in a good word for you guys. And I see great stellar teaching. So I'm usually doing that on my way out the door. But just don't worry about anyone in your school seeing that report.
And we're not there evaluating your classroom management, and that we're there just to see if you're teaching the content and teaching it with the rigor that the college expects. Assessment, this is great.
Okay, so
I'm gonna sit down, please.
Assessment has changed a little bit this year, just a little bit this year, compared to what you folks are used to. Usually, you will have gotten a big Word document that has a bunch of questions in it, accompanied with an Excel spreadsheet that has a bunch of pages in it for you guys to report your assessment in. This year, because we changed up assessment at the college, what you'll be getting is just one single assessment form for your class with the assessment question and like a couple boxes that you need to fill in. It's less to keep track of for you guys. And everyone, to go back to the bullet point that's here, everyone is submitting assessment information, regardless of whether you are observed this academic year or not. The assessment information, if you didn't see it a minute ago, we have it all on our My Peak page. And of course, if any of you guys like in the here and now need me to send you something, I can like also do that super duper easy. But on the math My Peak page, your assessment forms are all right here. Let's take a peek at one. Let's take a look at college algebra. So for college algebra, in most of our courses, if you've been doing this for a while, you notice we'd like to assess the same questions for like a while to get good data on it. A lot of our classes have changed assessment questions this year, so just a heads up, that may be you. But this form, so it has your course, when the topic is coming up, it's coming up in the chapter of functions. Here's the question for college algebra this year. Looks like they have to find vertical, horizontal asymptotes and a hole in the graph. And in terms of like what you need to fill out, date of assessment, total number of students, how many met the target, how many didn't meet the target, additional feedback, how was it implemented in your class? I mean, you're probably going to put an open-ended question on a unit exam would be like the fancy way I would answer that if that's what you do. And then give us your feedback. What factors do you feel impacted the success level for this measure? And then Robin made this one. She was nice enough to put the answer at the end, along with a rubric and what constitutes a passing grade, everything that you should need to know to answer the above questions. So it's basically, we're basically doing the same thing, just on a different form than what we've done in previous semesters.
We're not breaking down the point scale, like you just give them.
No, so you won't be filling out that Excel spreadsheet with the, with that component by component analysis. So yeah, include the common assessment question for your course as an open-ended question on an exam or quiz when the topic is taught, on the appropriate unit exam, as opposed to like asking it on the final exam at the end of the academic year. And please get that back to me within 1 week of administering that test or quiz. I know a lot of folks like you're not hitting these until like later in the course, or so like spring. what I'm just trying to avoid here is like getting like 100 assessment emails like while I'm in like finals week and while you guys are in finals week and we have a bunch of other stuff going along. It's easier for me if I just can take those as I get them and file them away. Any questions on assessment? I think that's a good place to pause and ask if you guys have any questions on assessment. And then I'm going to go through a little assessment analysis based upon last year's data. No, appreciate you guys. You guys are all veterans by now, so that's great. This is something I started doing last year. And actually I found out like now it's like something that like is required, like I guess by like the state or whatever. So I had a leg up on them. So I'm pretty proud of myself for that one. But what I started doing last year is I started taking all that common assessment data you guys sent me. And the night before the annual discipline meeting, I compile it all and do a little bit of analysis. So let's jump into that for last academic year. And I'm going to hit all the courses that we taught last year. Mat 131, Mat 145, Mat 170, my voice is going, Mat 200, and Mat 210.
131, just by the way, is algebra 2. Those that say they teach algebra 2, that's 131.
But let's zoom in here. I want to say that all the classes did pretty good. So intermediate algebra 2, aka 83% success rate, 33 out of 40 of A students met the objective. Our goal, our standard cookie cutter success rate goal is 70%. So this meets our 70% success rate. This was the first academic year using that assessment question. It was requiring students to graph a line using the slope and the y-intercept. But so cumulatively, we're at 83% on that. And let's strengths I had regarding that Mat 131 is on a component by component basis. How about the y-intercept was found with 100% success. Nice. 2 other points were found with 90% success, and the points were plotted correctly with 87.5% success. So even on a component by component basis, this doesn't always happen. We still had above a 70% success rate. There's no concerns. And the recommendations for that are just to keep on keeping on, guys, with that. Good job. College algebra was the only class where we didn't hit our mark. We got 62%. We're at 28 out of 45. This was our first academic year using that particular assessment question. So that question for college algebra was it was a variation problem. I think might have been like a combined variation problem where like we had something varies directly as something, but inversely is something else. That was our first academic year using that question, although we had been assessing that same learning objective since fall of 2020. So we have pretty good data on this assessment category, and cumulatively we were at 65%, which is like just short of the 70%. Like we were really close to meeting that 70% success. For years with that assessment question, we had another variation problem that had the pi symbol in it. It required the use of like pi, and we thought that was maybe tripping students up, like just to haven't seen pi. So that's what prompted us to change the question for last academic year. And actually our success rate was pretty much exactly the same. I think the year before that, with the pi symbol in there, it was also at 62%. So it seems like that's where we're going to be with that learning objective. And overall, we didn't meet that goal of 70% success on a component by component basis. We answered each component of the question with a success rate above 70%. It's just not over 70% of people were able to hit that passing criteria that we had laid out. And I can show you the raw data if you're like, why doesn't that make sense? I have the raw data below that'll hash that out. Really the thing that stood out, 96% of students were able to find that constant variation correctly, which is like the main part of those problems. Our concern there was that our conversion was not the best. we had 96% of students getting that constant of variation correct, but then a lot of them stopped there. Is really what the instructor comments seemed to indicate, was they didn't go back, construct an actual mathematical model using that rate and answer the question being asked. My preliminary recommendations for Mat 145, they're similar to those of last year, despite changing the question to no longer include the use of pi. And we have changed that assessment question for this year. It just seems like we're going to be in the mid-60s with that. This year, I think we already looked at it. It's like a asymptotes and holes in the graph, a related question. But looking at the raw data of this Mat 145, if you guys wanted to see how that broke down. So like you can see here on our component by component basis, our numbers are pretty good. But only 28 out of 45 students solved the entire problem correctly.
And this is just ACE students, not.
Indeed, this is just ACE. None of our numbers are on here. Our numbers are actually a little bit worse than these, but like college algebra is always the one that's the toughest one to hit, guys. So like if you're teaching a college algebra class, I'm not trying to like sound condescending or anything like that. I think you guys do a great job. I just think probably 60% is mid 60% is probably about as good as we can hope for on that objective. Those are word problems too, tough word problems at that. All right, it's all good news from here. Pre-calculus, 76% success rate, 16 out of 21 meets the goal. First academic year using that assessment question. So cumulatively, we're at 76%. On a component by component basis, each one was over 75%. And this one was like an equation with cosine in it. I think I think you had to solve a trig equation that had a cosine in it, and you had to find multiple angles in different quadrants that satisfied the equation. No recommendations for Mat 170. Keep doing great. And that's more of the same story. 200 problem stats. We got a 7 out of 10. We got our 70% mark. Cumulatively on that learning objective, we're at 84%. And we have changed problem stats for this academic year. We're actually just doing the stats project, the term project. We're just looking at the hypothesis test on that stats project. The only concern I had about that 70%, we were right on the borderline. And I know when I teach stats, like you talk about the difference between a T and a Z, like until you're blue in the face, and they still mess it up. So 70% is passing, hitting our goal of success. So I don't want to sound like I'm whining about that. No, that's good. 90% of students correctly constructed that confidence interval, 70% correctly interpreted the results. That interpretation is something I know during the past couple of years you guys have really focused on. Like we really brought that up from about 2 years ago. The interpretation of that was below. I don't even remember what it was, Scott, but like you guys really upped your game. Yeah. So like, and really that's the point of doing those confidence intervals is interpreting them and getting the usefulness of it. So we're still doing great on that interpretation as far as I'm concerned. And yeah, just recommendations. As always, continue emphasizing Z versus T and interpreting your confidence intervals correctly. The last class was Calc 1, 90%.
What was that question? Was that the different?
Calc 1 was implicit differentiation, I believe.
Our students
Yeah.
didn't do that well.
Yeah. 28 out of 31, guys. I mean, great job. Meets the goal of 70% success. That was the first academic year using that assessment question. So cumulatively, we're at 90%. Pretty good place to be. No recommendations. No concerns. And really, I want that I hope that resonates with you guys. You guys are doing great. College algebra is always gonna be a struggle nationwide. That's always the toughest class to get.
What was the question for 210?
For 210
This year.
for this year.
Yeah. I picked it and I can't remember what.
I don't know what it was this year. Let's check it out. Let's check out.
It's a limit on what.
That's a limit, that's right, Lobie's house. It's Lobie's.
Good old Lopi Tall. Let's see him. Oh, yeah. That should be an easy one. That should be an easy one.
I'm hoping for high success.
Yeah, let's get
rate.
some high scores.
I thought we'd throw in an easy one for once and get some good scores in there.
Yeah, but I actually always enjoyed putting this little assessment together. Well, always for the past 2 years. I've enjoyed putting this assessment together. I think it helps. It really gives me a picture of how well you guys are doing, and I love getting to share it with you. And it is at us in our department here at the college, your guys' numbers are better than ours. So like feel good about that as well. Just keep doing what you guys are doing.
Does anybody have any questions and comments?
I might bounce some things off you about stats, but.
For sure. Yeah, we have like some of the best math teachers in the state in this room right now. So like, that's also like something really awesome to be proud of, guys. This meeting's adjourned. If you don't have any questions, we're done. Let's go home to our families.
Thank you, guys.
If you guys.
Do they-
Are you able to make me an account?
I can't make you one, but I can get you linked up with one. I'll get your email and stuff before you go. They're gonna want you to do a survey before you go.
Glad you're doing well.
I better stop this.
Thank you.
Yeah, same here.